All right, so welcome to the On Purpose podcast, where we're here to live a life of purpose, to be flourished and fulfilled in all areas of our life. Kirk, I got another one for you. It hit me today around the distinction between distractions versus self-care. Like,
Distractions versus self-care. Okay.
yeah, because I'm like, is this distractions are going to take you further away from your purpose, while self-care is going to fulfill and uplift your purpose.
I think you just did it. I think that's it.
But what are so distinguish distractions to you, and
I love what you said, taking you away from your purpose, taking you away from your covenant, taking you away from that which you've chosen at a high state. That's important. I guess let me talk about that for a second. So high state, low state. So let me just use me as an example. In my early life, I remember being in my teens, like 15, 16, 17, being really anxious and concerned about how I was going to support myself. Nothing that, anybody had mentioned seemed like anything that I wanted to do. Hey, my mother for a while was on a kick about me being an accountant, invited her friend, the accountant, over to tell me all about it and that kind of stuff. It's like, maybe you haven't been paying attention.
wrong account.
Even at that age, I could tell no, it's not. Anyway, nothing wrong with accountants, by the way. It's just I don't have no people. That's all I'm saying. For all you accountants out there, thank you so much. I'm glad you're here because that way I don't have to mess with it. So thank you. I love you. I appreciate you. And my wife is an accountant. So. Anywho, so that had I decided to move forward, oh my gosh, I don't know how to make a living. Oh my gosh, I'm so anxious and afraid. I don't know. And somebody says, oh, well, why don't you be an accountant? And I no, it looks like a really terrible gig. And yet I dedicate myself anyway to it. I think a lot of people do that, like in school, choosing majors and choosing first jobs. Like I could tell this really sucks, but I gotta do it anyway. So to me, that would be a low side decision. You're not making the decision from what's possible. You're not making the decision from abundance. You're not making a decision from victory. You're doing quite the opposite. You're relating to yourself as, needing a last resort. Everything's working against you, and you'll pick this one option amongst other terrible options. So that's the way I made almost all of my decisions in life until I, quote unquote, woke up, 1996 or so. So I got into sales. I was in construction for a while, high-end renovations, and I loved it. And I only quit because at a young age, I had reached sort of the income ceiling. I was making like $12 an hour. The guy who'd been there for 40 years was making $13 an hour. It didn't take much to figure out another 40 years was going to buy me $1 an hour. So that didn't feel like a future, even though I enjoyed it. And then I got into business sales, commercial sales. And it was really horrible at first, which it often is for people. And I managed to get through it and succeed. But that decision, again, was a low side decision. It was a decision from desperation, from what appeared to be a limited set of very poor options. And then even though it didn't feel good, it didn't feel like a match, I don't think it was good for my soul necessarily. I wasn't treated with respect, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. I applied myself fully to it, regardless of all of that, and actually became a masterful salesperson. But it was not a inspired, hey, anything's possible kind of choice. So all of that is, let's see if I can remember where I where I started from. I just went through my whole life and back, so I'm a little disoriented.
It was the high. It was
Distraction and self-care was the first topic.
Yeah, but you were talking about high interest or high, something about that.
All right. Well, so
It'll
I
come back.
think I have a way to keep going. So, um, yeah, that's interesting. So distractions would be that low side choice. Um, I'm going to take a nap all day today because I really deserve it. And I've done so much and it's been so hard for me, and I just really deserve little work, right? That's probably a low side. That's probably a distraction. And I'm gonna take a nap because I'm leading tonight, and I wanna make sure I'm full of energy and robust and clear-headed. And so I'm gonna get a quick hour of sleep right now, and I'm gonna enjoy it. It's gonna be really beautiful. But the actual point of it is I can feel my energies down. I can feel my body slowing down, whatever. A nap would be the thing. And I'll make sure I get up about 2 or 3 hours before I lead, so I'm over the grogginess and I'm on the up cycle, and boom, I'm doing it in service of like that. So same activity, self-care, distraction.
Wow.
Yeah.
And that would be just because of the core intention.
What you're using it for.
Yeah.
So I hope upon somebody watching this video, this somehow correlates to the thing I spent 5 minutes on. We'll find out over time.
I know, I can't wait to go back to see what that was.
Yeah.
I got
How
distracted
far
for a
how far
minute,
off the rails
but
was
it's still
he?
on purpose.
Yes.
What was the biggest distractions for you when I don't let me connect deeper with it. Yeah, what would be the biggest distractions for you that would take you off course, off purpose, off what you were doing previously?
A new romantic relationship. Boom!
How romantic.
Yes, definitely. Oh yeah, a new romantic relationship. Gotta put it in air quotes.
Yeah.
Because yeah, I was sort of addicted to new relationships. Like every 2 or 3 years, I'd be in a new relationship and start off really intense, and I would lose myself and blah 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 blah. Um, and uh, um, um, yeah, and I would allow mostly each new relationship to be like a new era of my life, kind of moving from one space to another. So stuff would get dropped and stuff would get created and not followed up on or whatever. And the relationships weren't based in like, you know, divine union or divine covenant or fulfillment of a purpose. It was just like, I'm hurting and you're attracted to me and I'm attracted to you. Let us comfort each other for some amount of time until one of us gets tired of the other. And so that was a huge distraction. That was a consistent, structural, huge distraction for me.
Yeah.
And people celebrate, oh, you're a new relationship. Oh, that's so great. Oh my God, you're so in love. Look at you. So you're totally being supported and, completely abandoning your purpose. Even if I had one at the time. Had I had a purpose at the time. It's worse than that. Had I had a purpose at the time, it would have definitely distracted me. But I had a purpose, but it
Well,
was
your ego had a purpose.
yes, exactly. Thank you. Yes. Oh, I definitely had a purpose. I was very purposeful, just not in the way that this podcast talks about. I was very focused.
Oh, wow. That's actually really beautiful to even bring into this conversation because your ego has a purpose and your
Yeah.
soul has a purpose.
Oh, that's really good.
Yeah.
That's
So
really important.
there's,
Yeah.
yeah. So you want to dive into that actually
Mhm.
and, um,
I do. I just
okay.
got something. All right, cool. So, how many times have I said, feel free to ask yourself for yourself if you would like to. How many times have I asked myself, or said to myself, I just want to follow my dreams?
Oh
I
my
know I'm getting everybody. I just want to
oh
follow
man.
my dreams. How do I follow my dreams? What are my dreams?
Follow
What are
the
your
heart.
dreams? What are my dreams? Oh my God. This is so oh my gosh. So, why am I making fun of that? Well, first of all, I'm a perfect example, so I'm making fun of myself. Everybody, if you're feeling convicted, that's on you. I'm talking about myself. Don't start giving me the sticky eyebrow across that camera over there. So, the reason I'm laughing at it is because my experience of that is 100% ego driven. It's of the mind. Like, what do I desire? Well, when I was young, I desired to be a rock star, right? And for the first, my tender my teenage years, maybe even to my young 20s, I thought I was gonna be a rock star. And I had the long hair and the earrings, and I was very significant and very entitled, and I was working on the persona way before the. I wanted to be ready.
Yeah.
And so that's ego. Like, being a musician is heartfelt. I am a musician. Being a rock star was 100% ego. Like, I wanted the partying, the sex, and the drugs, and the adoration, and that's definitely what I was going for. Yeah, I was, well, not 100%. I was a musician. I am a musician. There is something in my soul and in my heart about that. But that wasn't a big part of my desire to be a rock star. And that was my dream. And oh my gosh, I've had so many conversations where I was holding back the tears and talking about how I wasn't supported as a child, and my mother this and my mother that. And oh my gosh, I never had a place of practice, and nobody ever taught. Oh, and you used to slam the door, make me feel bad, and tease me. And oh my gosh, and blah, 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 blah. Um, and that's a construct of the ego to set up something that you want that you can't have. And then the ego is really powerful, really important to get you through this terrible, terrible circumstance of you not being able to fulfill your dreams, by the way, which I created for you. And I made sure to
Thank
create
God
something
for
that you couldn't
unanswered
actually get.
prayers. Just saying that.
Okay, so how did you ask the question again?
Yeah, the difference between your ego's purpose and your soul's purpose.
Okay, perfect. So ego's
The
purpose sounds
distinction
like I
between
want to. Go ahead.
the
I missed
distinction
last.
between the two is what.
Yeah. So the ego's purpose is self-interested. I want to be a rock star, right? You can hear the referencing of myself, of me, and the big me in that, right? I want. My purpose is to bring heaven on earth, is to create heaven on earth. Now, I do also want that. So you can say, aha, right? You said I
Mhm.
want was the ego. Okay, convicted, fair enough. But why do I want heaven on earth? When I gave up everything 4 or 5 years ago, country of origin, all of my possessions except what I could fit in suitcases, everybody I'd ever known except for my one person I brought with me, my wife. And we set off on this mission to create heaven on earth. Now, one thing I'm clear about is that there's a difference between having a transformation or having a breakthrough and producing a result. I had had the transformation. I'd had the breakthrough. I was someone who was completely divinely coveted to, like completely promised and married to bringing heaven on earth. So that was the new person, the new perspective, the new way of operating, the new way of being, the new way of speaking, the new way of listening, the new way of looking, the new way of making decisions, the new way of making choices, the new way of conducting myself with others. right? So that was all in. But heaven on earth didn't exist. So transformation breakthrough, check. The result that I'm committed to, no, it's not here yet. And in that promise, I was 100% clear and cleared with myself. Kurt, do you understand that this is going to take some time? Yes, I did. Do you understand that it might take more time than your lifetime? I'm 61 years old. Yes, I understand that. Are you willing to move forward and give everything you got to this, whether or not you get to experience it? Yes, I am. And so that is a purpose decision, because I didn't need to get anything out of it to give everything to it. Most people don't do that. And I didn't do that until I did. And so someone who's fulfilling a dream, like being a rock star, has very specific conditions. No, I'm gonna play this drum set. No, I'm gonna drive this car. No, my girlfriend's gonna look like this. No, I'm gonna have this kind of house. No, I'm gonna live in this city. Why? Because that's what I want. Because it makes me feel good. It makes my body feel good. It makes me feel good about myself. It makes me feel accomplished. It makes me feel like I'm somebody. It, for even just a fraction of a moment, fulfills that void in me. But my purpose isn't like that. Inside my purpose, I don't have a void. You know. So I'll pause there. That's what's coming through.
Yeah. What came up for me while you were sharing was the big stack of cards that you showed everyone the other day. It's literally about like this big,
Yes.
and it's got distinctions on them, worlds and language that you are at the source of, and creating that archive for people so they always have something to turn back to. You know, it's like you're not thinking about yourself, you're thinking about the people that are coming after you. And
Yeah.
so that's a huge distinction between the ego and the soul.
Yeah. Yeah.
Because it's in service to the all, it's in service to people. And
Well,
so
the act itself is not in service, right? So I could be creating this archive of distinctions for my ego and for my reputation. So
oh
that's definitely right. Same action, different purpose, different. What am I doing it for? Or,
yeah,
as you say, I could be creating it for future generations, which is actually why I'm creating it. But the action itself, in and of itself, is neither all altruistic, like high side, or low, egoic or low. It's not intrinsically like that. It is that or it isn't that based on what I'm using.
wow.
So even
So that's
becoming a great leader, like you can become a powerful leader for your reputation, or you can become a great leader to be of service to humanity. People choose both paths.
hmm. And you also mentioned
It's my professional opinion that one choice limits how far you can go, but that's just my professional opinion. Like
yeah,
you
I
can't
think
go as far from
yeah, the hand's gonna move the hand regardless of whichever
yeah.
one you choose. But yeah, what was beautiful inside of your share that you were talking about what makes me feel good. Like, oh, this makes me feel good. This is, I want to keep chasing this and I want to keep doing this because this
Yeah.
feels good to me. This is comfort. This is, and it's actually our cage. And so, how do you ride the neutral zone? Because you were just talking about the low and the high and altruistic versus the low side, and not follow our feelings, not because it feels good, but because the action itself is for the good.
Well, at this point, most of my life is that, when I go to the breakfast meeting, it's in service. When I come back and do my appointments as a service. When I'm doing my painting, it's, self-care and in service, for the village. When I play music, it's self-care and service. So really anymore, I just go out and do some of the things that I'm already doing. I go take care of the compost every day, like if I'm feeling selfish or getting lost in something, I've got all these activities every day that I've been working on for years that are in service. They're created for, they were decided upon at a state of high resonance, not low resonance. Oh, that's where I was going before. I just found it when I was talking about making decisions from desperation. People either make decisions from desperation or they make decisions for what's possible. Right? And they're very different decisions. So I've already made many decisions for what's possible in how I spend my time around the village or how I spend my time. And so I don't need to create anything much anymore. I just need to look around and, I could work on my painting. I could go take care of the compost. I could go hang out with Soul and be his godfather for a minute. Or this morning he brought me his bicycle and I fixed the brake in between things. His little screw came out of his brake and I putzed around with that for a minute and fix that, or just whatever. Go check on, just whatever, right? So it's easier for me to find something that's purposeful, but I've been creating that for a minute.
Mhm.
So one way I stay purposeful is I stay purposeful.
Well, I mean, I'm
Yeah.
speaking to the people that are finding this. What is questions that one could ask
Yeah.
themselves?
Yeah. So
Is
there's a
this is
there's
this
a
bringing me
conversation.
closer to my purpose? Or
Sorry, we're having a lag in the internet. I'm going to stop talking. You finish your question.
oh yeah, it was just like, is this bringing me closer or farther away? And
Yeah.
every intention, and what am I going to use it for? Um, and you had also mentioned about things being of the mind, like the ego is driven by the mind. It's like all that. And so questions that actually lead from the heart, like
Yeah.
what did you start asking yourself that got you on this path to make these decisions?
Well, let me let me see if I have your permission to alter the question to guide it towards people who are not me and don't have the years of experience that I have. Let me alter the question to how somebody coming into this work might address that question. May I do that?
Yeah,
Yeah.
please. Yeah.
So I've got a cheat code for a purpose, right? So a lot of people like, well, I can't follow a purpose because I don't have a purpose. It's not have a purpose to follow. So that's problem number one. So I have a cheat code for that. And the cheat code is this. Ask yourself this question. What did I notice was missing in the world, especially as a child? And my answer to that question is light, love, and connection. So I grew up in a narcissistic family, like clinically narcissistic. So there was no tenderness or love or grace or loving touch or encourage. None of that. It was cold and loveless. If you've ever been around narcissists, like every they use every single thing to meet their immediate satisfaction, and that's the only thing that exists, right? So that was my mother. Stepfathers coming in and out, various levels of completely crazy to just a little crazy and abusive, so there was no light, like nothing was possible. if there was any light, it immediately got distinguished by the narcissist in the family, right? There was no love, right? If you've ever been around narcissists, it's completely cold and there's nothing there to connect with an extreme narcissist. And light, love, and connection. And there's no connection. Like there's just no connection. You know, whatever connection there was aggressive or hostile or shameful. You know, whatever connection there was manipulative in nature. Her trying to get me to do something for her. So anyway, so that's the background, right? So what I noticed was really missing in the world is light, love, and connection. And it wasn't just a little bit missing, it was completely missing, and it was a big deal, and it impacted everything. And it was a source of vast, massive suffering in my childhood. So the starting point, the cheat code for purpose, is to notice what was missing in your childhood. 3 things. John's was peace, love, and joy. Mine's light, love, and connection. Do you remember yours, Sarah?
Responsibility, self-love, and inspiration.
Responsibility, self-love, and inspiration, right? So a cheat code for purpose would be, for me, right, in my example, light, love, and connection, would be to bring light, love, and connection to everything I do from now to the end of time. Purpose. You're welcome. And now, as I have...
I wanted to...
Go ahead.
Yeah, I wanted to distinguish right there because it just came in so powerfully about that these are ways of being. This is where you're coming from because that's where you're going. And it's not in what we do. We can bring these things in anything that we're doing, you know, a doctor, whatever it may be. But if you're not at the source of where you're coming from and you're not lit up from these things, it's going to be depleted no matter what you do. So
yeah.
I just wanted to bring that in really quick because it was just really beautiful.
Perfect. And I want to tie this into this transformational quote that everybody says that I'm pretty sure no one has ever heard. So I'm going to bring in a transformational quote that everybody says, and I'm very certain almost nobody's heard it. And that quote is, be the change you wish to see. See, I don't think people hear that. There's not enough love in the world. I got it. What are you waiting for? There's not enough light in the world, like the light of possibility. Correct. What are you waiting for? Not enough connection in the world. I 100% agree. What are you waiting for? So in this adopting light, love, and connection as my purpose, I am no longer waiting for or looking for light, love, or connection. When I married my wife, I wasn't looking for light, love, and connection. I am the source of light, love, and connection. When I walk into a room, I'm leading. I'm not looking for light, love, and connection. I'm bringing it. Buckle up. Light, love, and connection is present. And so all sorts of beautiful things happen in that. First of all, I'm the source of my own healing. Light, love, and connection was painfully missing for me for half of my life. And now it's in full abundance. Additionally, I get to be a gift to my community. Because how many communities would love to have light, love, and connection in their community? All of them, if they're paying attention. And that's not unique to my purpose. That's anybody's purpose. It's a gift. It's a blessing. To who? To everybody. To you and everybody else. The alternative is I'm a worthless piece of shit victim. And I go around hurting people because I'm hurt, which is how I lived the first half of my life. I was hurt and I lived a life hurting people. Hurt people, hurt people. Guess what? Healed people, heal people. Guess what? Massively hurt people massively. Guess what? Massively healed people heal people massively. So if you were to choose to be your purpose, in my case, humbly, I submit, light, love, and connection. First of all, I'm healing myself every moment of every day. I'm no longer distracted looking for light, love, and connection, bro, because that would be insane because I'm the source of it. would literally be insane to walk around looking for love or light or connection, since it's like it's exuding out of me. Where are my glasses? I can't find my glasses. Anybody see my glasses? Anybody see light, love, and connection? Same question. And you're also demonstrating what it is for people to live, what it could be, and how easy, dirt simple, dirt easy, easy as dirt. Was there anything missing in your childhood? You bet. Name 3. Light, love, and connection. Boom. Done. And then
Wow.
notice there's nothing fancy about being light, like actually believing that something's possible. No, nothing fancy. I don't need a degree. I don't need a mani-pedi. I don't need a cappuccino from Starbucks, right? I
And
don't
now,
need a therapy session to be connected with people. Additionally, I don't need a PhD. I don't need a certificate. I don't need to register with the government. I don't need to run it by anybody. I can literally just be connected, and I can literally just be love, and I can literally just be light. And so can you. And by you, I mean anybody who's watching this thing. Something was missing from your childhood, because it is for everyone. Maybe you had a great childhood. Maybe you had like one of the worst. But but pick right now, if you haven't done so, right this minute, grab a piece of paper, grab a pen. Go ahead and pause the show. I'll wait. Okay, great. You're back. Good job. Now, write down the 3 things you the biggest, the most painful things you saw missing in the world as a child, as ways of being: light, love, connection, peace, joy, surrender, integrity, any of it. It's you'll feel it in your chest cavity. Yeah, love was like, I can feel love missing in my childhood. I could feel that lack of connection. I can feel that icy cold of any time I started to come alive a little bit. Bam, like I can bring myself back there. I can feel it. Yeah, it was missing. Light, love, connection. It was missing. I didn't make that shit up. It was missing, and it was painful. But the more painful it is, the more powerful it is. So, yeah, cheat code on purpose. So that's really super easy and super empowering. And you can water the garden. I can bring light, love, and connection to watering the garden, to answering my emails, to taking my morning walk, to taking care of my dog, to leading programs, to coaching people, to anything. And so you can start living a life of purpose today by declaring what you saw missing in your life and choose to be the source of that. Be the change you wish to see. I'll leave it there. I'm so pleased with myself.
it's such a powerful move, because it really brings it in to your intention, being connected to your decisions, being connected to who you are and what you're doing here. If you think that it's inside of a job, or you think that it's something outside of yourself for the first half of our life, that's going to give us this feeling, this sense of gratification. But once I even got those things, it was just like, I still feel empty chasing the next thing, and so it's beautiful when you're at the source of those 3 things that you see missing in the world. Because you don't need anything, you're just overflowing and giving that out to the world. So I want to bring it back into distractions versus self-care.
Yeah.
And distractions, they have a way of making you feel unfulfilled, feeling guilty, feeling like there's a regret that you've done. Yeah, and it's like some of the things that were brought up today was like this mindless scrolling for hours and hours and hours.
Mm-hmm.
watching TV series or YouTube or just um, so
Yeah.
many things.
Mindless,
Yeah, it's just mindless,
mindless, heartless activities.
yeah, mindless, heartless activities. Yes. And the only thing that you got to do is just switch that into self care. And I'm not talking about like, I need self care however many hours you need or whatnot, because there's even been like certain things that people are using for self care that I've recognized to be like, well, I'm taking care of myself, and you're still not fulfilling on the purpose or the
Yeah.
intention
Yeah.
because you're using it as an escape rather
Yes.
than fulfilling on your purpose or your mission.
Yes. Yes.
And so those things are amazing. Taking care of your physical, your emotional health, taking care of your spiritual well-being, all those things are great, but stay connected to your purpose, and stay connected to all of those things inside of what you're doing. Another thing was when you're considering your intentions, like notice the things that your ego tries to do, and see if it's taking you closer or further away from your true intention, your purpose that you want to fulfill. And how does it respond? Mine likes to procrastinate sometimes. Sometimes it even wants to avoid uncomfortable conversations because I don't like conflict, and I blah blah blah. But it's like this purpose and this intention is not just about me, it's about other people. Um, Also, I wanted to ask you about, because you were talking about the nature about ego and soul purpose. Well, self-care inside of that, um, nurturing yourself and nurturing the all.
What was the last thing you said?
Nurturing the all. Like, I'm not
Okay.
doing this for myself. I'm actually doing this to,
Okay.
nurture the well-being of others, whether I like it or not. Like, it's not about a feeling. It's like you were talking about this earlier. It's not about if I like this or not. I might not like it, and it might frustrate me. It might annoy me and whatever. But the intention that I have is to fulfill and nurture other people that we want to bring home to love, bring home to that purpose. So, yeah, I'll leave it there.
Uh, I talked more about distraction than I did about self-care. So I just want to say a little about self-care to bring some balance to that. And you did that just now. Um, my first experiences in leadership were in business and in transformational leading. And in both cases, I worked myself past what was healthy for me physically, emotionally, and psychologically. Like literally like working myself to death kind of thing. In my first in the business, I was an angry workaholic and worked ridiculous hours with ridiculous intensity with no regard for myself. And I was a young, in my 20s, I was young and strong and had lots of endurance. But um, this was in New Orleans in the 80s. And one winter, I wake up and my body's bright red, like sunburned red, like my whole body. And I had not been in the sun, and it's winter. And it's like really weird and bizarre. And not only does it look like sunburn, it feels like sunburn. So my whole body is burned, bright red, in the middle of the winter with no exposure to the sun. So I, with my super, super smart brain, I figured out something's wrong here. I went to the doctor and he pokes and looks and grunts and, furrows his eyebrow a few times and he goes, son, I don't know what you're doing or whatever it is, you need to start doing something else. It was anxiety. I was literally working myself to death. Many years forward, I'm leading with a well-known international company, and I got myself scheduled like for months. I'm scheduled all day, all evening, 7 days a week for months in a row. And at some point, I just am so tired, my bones hurt. I've never experienced that before. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was fatigue at a level where my bones literally hurt. I don't know how else to describe it, but it was very noticeable. And I looked at my calendar, like realizing I need to take some fucking time off. And I looked and there was nothing, not even an evening available for like weeks out. And so I am hard headed. And finally, I got the message. If I want to be a leader, that's going to last. And additionally, I've seen many leaders who I thought were much greater than myself burn bright and burn out and disappear and become a sniveling mess of complaints and resentment. And I had seen that happen many times. And I was not going to be a casualty. And so I quickly started to dial in the importance of taking care of myself and not seeing that as something selfish or frivolous, but seeing that as something absolutely connected to the fulfillment of my purpose. So I wanted to just slip that in there as well.
Yeah, that's powerful because this is not a shortcut. This is not the short game. And it's like, take your time, go slow, and stay dedicated each and every single day. Um, how did you do that actually? Because there's so many people out there trying to take the shortcut, get the quick fix, and try to get rich quick and all these different things. And yeah, like how did you transition to the long game?
I think it was, it's a great question. And my best guess is I remember a conversation I had with one of my stepdads, and I was probably around 9, maybe ish. And we were talking about something. I was stressing, I think I mentioned this earlier. I was stressing about how I was going to support myself. So apparently that was younger than 15 or 16, And we were having a conversation about something. But anyway, he said something that stuck with me. What he said was, you have to do anything. If you want to be successful at something, you have to do it as though you're going to do it for the rest of your life. There's something about that really landed. And many years later, I moved from construction. It started in construction. Obviously, when I started, I didn't know shit. I didn't know what I was doing.
Yeah.
But I settled into it as though I was going to do it for the rest of my life. And in settling into it like I was going to do it for the rest of my life, I got interested in how to do it really well. Because if I'm going to do something forever, I want to be really, really good at it. So I didn't just learn how to do stuff. I learned how to do stuff, and then I learned how to I located and watched the people who were the best at what they did, and I emulated and I stole and I lived. I was trying to be the best. Whatever I was doing, I was trying to be the best at it and related to it like I would be doing it forever. And at some point, I stopped construction and went into sales. And again, it was really hard and really difficult. And it was like really incredibly difficult. That first year was mind-numbingly difficult. But I had already decided I was going to be in sales for the rest of my life. So the difficulty in this was not a temptation to leave. It was a temptation to like hurry up and get better at it.
Mm.
So somehow that got in early. It stuck. And, by the grace of God, I'd have to say. But that conversation somehow really stuck with me. And I forgot about that. It's a great question.
Wow. Yeah.
Because if you attempt something like I'm only going to do this for a couple of years, you're just not going to bring everything to it. But if you attempt something like, hey, this is my new game and I'm going to be the best and I don't care how long it takes, that's a different mindset, which is how I approach coaching and leading. Like, I'm in this forever. I got, decades ahead of me. And I'm going to start today, and I'm going to start with whatever seems foundational, whatever. Like, let's start with the difficult stuff first. I'm not trying to, I'm starting at the beginning. Lay it on me, whatever it is. I want to be the best, and I want to start with the foundation, and I don't want a shortcut, and all the rest of it. Give me your toughest teacher. Give me your, whatever. Let's go. Let's do it.
And what's the mindset that you had on not giving up on yourself?
I'd
Because I
already
feel like
decided.
that
I'd already decided.
so it's already deciding.
Already decided. Somehow that stuck with me. I can see how that's unusual now, as we embrace lots of people who are struggling with that, right? But for some reason, for me, part of my crazy is, once I have two modes of decision. One is, yeah, I'll give it a real serious try, and we'll just kind of test the waters and see what's going on. And every now and then, when I decide something, it is a lifelong decision. Like when I decided to be a contribution, when I decided to be a leader, every now and then I make this, when I decided to embrace John and this journey we're on, like to give my one man army to the mission, if you will. Once the decision is made, I don't look in the rearview mirror. You
Mm,
know,
wow,
by grace, I guess.
that's really powerful. That's really powerful. So, yeah, biggest takeaways.
You can decide not to second. One can decide not to second guess. There's something about it in the Bible. If look back, you get turned to a pillar of salt.
Yeah.
Like, don't look back. You know, make your highest resonant decision. Choose from abundance. Choose from your highest resonance, and then put on the blinkers and start pedaling. That's my recipe.
Wow. Wow.
Yeah.
That even brings in a whole nother conversation, but maybe we'll just tag this for the next one.
Yeah.
But it's
Yeah.
giving a sacred yes and then saying no to everything else. So
Yeah.
stay
Let's
tuned
do that.
for the next episode on that one, because you're saying no to everything else.
Yeah. On
Yeah,
purpose and by design.
on purpose.
On purpose and by design.
So I just wanted to bring it in. Thank you, Kirk. Thank you again for these beautiful conversations. Don't get distracted out there. Stay focused, stay on purpose. Get your blinkers, don't look back. Find the 3 things that you saw missing in this world,
Yes. Yes.
and just make the decision and keep going forward. Make it for the rest of your life, because what else are you going to do with it? What else are you going to do?
What else is there?
What else is there? So,
You can run yourself into the grave with a life of pleasure, or you can choose a life of purpose. Either is perfect.
wow. Oh, yeah. And remember that self-care is not selfish.
Right.
It is essential to prioritize yourself for what you're up to. You are important. What your purpose is important. And taking care of yourself in all of it is very important. You need to be optimal for what you're up to. So,
Healed people heal people.
yes.
Choose to be a healer.
Yes. Choose to be a healer.
Yep.
On purpose.
How do I do that? Heal yourself.
And declare, I am the source of my own healing.
Yes. Beautiful.
Amen.
A great place to start is pick your 3 things. Have a purpose. we're really driving at this thing now. Yes.
All right. I love you guys. Thank you for watching. Please like, share, subscribe. There's going to be resources for you inside of the description box. Come join these conversations. Come join us inside of Earthwaking University, where you can live a life of purpose and find your voice from the inside out. We also got Visionary Leadership Program 4.0 coming to you. Get your butts there. Get your tickets in the description.
February 4th. February 4th is a freebie. It's a launch party and reunion for Visionary 3.0. And the very next week, we're going to start Visionary 4.0. So February 4th, whoever you are, you're welcome to show up and join us, and just sit back and enjoy the reunion and launch party, and just feel all the love and purpose, and just see what it feels like. It's quite
All
extraordinary.
right. God bless everyone. Ciao.